Okay, very good. I hope you had a good workshop discussion in the four workshops. So what we'd like to do now is to have a quick feedback from each of the workshops. So just to hear back what happened in the different discussions. So maybe we could start by the first workshop, accessibility and inclusivity. Which is about also disaggregate your data, how you disaggregate your data, and it was moderated by this colleague. So I don't know who will report back from the workshop.
Hi, Dina. Yeah, it will be me. Hi, everyone. So in our session, our session was about inclusion, provision of services to disabled persons, and it was a bit short because we had two speakers that provided quite, I believe, quite complementary perspectives. So we had Anna that presented an interesting initiative that she's representing an NGO that is offering inclusive tourism experience for people on wheelchairs in the Portuguese touristic region, the Algarve. But then from a point-to-point perspective, we also need to understand how people arrive to the Algarve and can have access to this experience. And I think that Diogo the other speaker, he brought us some good points about this in his presentation, while he explained what the railway operator is doing in this field. So in terms of data collection, so hard evidence, I believe that the main takeaways of the session is that, well, first point is that we do have a very scarce information about the disabilities of tourists and also the locals. So it's hard to shape the profile, taking in consideration the ability to use transport services. Well, we have not discussed this, but I can believe that this is linked with the fact that people with disabilities normally are a hard to reach group. They are not very much involved in planning mechanisms. Also, there are some constraints about GDPR issues. There certainly exists many other reasons, but what is important is that, and this is the point that I was getting at, is that there are some proxies that we can use for gathering some data, and Diogo presented some data about the number of people requesting special services to the operator, to the railway operator, requesting special service for getting access to the train. And Claudio, that also participated in the session, he also confirmed that the number of tourists with disabilities is increasing, and he based this assumption on some data that was provided by the Greenway service. Is a service that is provided at the airport, and he said something that normally about almost 2% of tourists arriving at the airport of Madeira, they request this kind of service for special attention, which might include a wheelchair or something else. So we need to delve on these proxies to help defining our policies, improving accessibility to our transport systems, I believe.
Thanks a lot, Andre. I think we could straight move to the next workshop on community engagement and feedback. So how you involve stakeholders in the planning. So colleagues from NET, and please, I would like to ask each of our colleagues to keep it short because we are running a little bit late.
I brought one slide. My name is Bente and I report from the workshop on community engagement and feedback. And what we did is, first of all, I presented some targets, types, and strategies of community engagement, and we were discussing a bit about that afterwards. And then we had a wonderful presentation of Tobias Vieider from the Alpine Pearls, and with a very special view on the example of the little place of Werfenweng in Austria. And they are really going forward concerning sustainable mobility in a touristic area. And he also explained how they engaged the community and yes, which efforts they did and how the challenges were. And afterwards, we discussed about different forms of engagement. We had a Mentimeter and saw that yes, different forms of community engagement are used by different regions and they have different challenges, but we can see that the mentality of people is important as well as the resources. And we could see that the inclusion of the people will lead to a higher acceptance of tourism. If they feel that people care about mobility, they can see in touristic areas, of course, they can see that this will lead to less traffic. So that's good for the population. And a very important point that was a statement that was made at the end is that you have to grab the politicians. If you have a mayor or some other politicians which favor your ideas, you will be more successful. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Bente. Very sharp to the point. Great. Okay, so we are moving to the third one, colleagues from Pantea, on how to measure sustainability and environmental impact. I don't know who will report back. Maybe Geert?
Yeah, I was hoping someone else would volunteer, but no, also to do it a bit brief because we only have a couple of minutes left. We had a very interesting discussion on well, environmental impact assessments, a bit of a theory on that, but mainly discussion went around objectives and also the iterative loop of objectives when it comes to mobility as well. So we see that's very difficult to reach targets. So how maybe we have to adjust those targets, how that works in different countries. So all in all, we had a very interesting discussion in that, and we see that assessments are quite limited now, also because we have some difficulty with accessing data. So we see also a bit of a pattern there, and that's very brief what it is. And if you wonder what's the ambient sound that you maybe hear, it's the music in the hotel lobby we're in right now. So sorry for that, but that's in real short what we discussed during our breakout session.
Thanks a lot, Geert. Very good. And then the last workshop, which I saw was very, very popular. So the demand responsive transportation. Andrea.
To me, yes, thank you very much. I will also prepare like one slide to summarize our findings. So I hope you can see the screen now. We started asking participants their experience on DRT, and we had a good mix among participants. Half of them were proficient with good experience or previous experience on that, and the other part were limited knowledge. They were looking to deeper understanding, so that was a good start for our discussion. I just two of my colleagues taken the floor to share some specific case study. One was led by Giorgio, and he shared the experience of Bagni di Lucca, and he tried to share what, let's say, the importance or the relevance of an in-depth data collection to assess the baseline situation. We show a sort of topography and GIS layer to map up the accessibility issue with public transport and how this baseline led to the design of a number of community-based transport services, including DRT, as part of a broad range of community-based service. And then we had this very fruitful discussion on one end, this need to stress the importance of data and technology for both the design and operation, and how we need to address the local context situation because there is no one-size-fits-all model for that. Brian kindly raised the point of relevance of cooperation among stakeholders, especially if we see DRT as part of an integrated transport offer. And then there were two experiences, one from Ireland and one from Germany, where both are working in the integration of different services and inclusion of DRT or ride-pooling platform in the world transport offer. And there was this challenge to find a balance between fixed route and flexible transport with this high-level goal of trying to ensure maximum coverage of the service. And what Jackie would say that the investment is still not big enough, so we need to do more for that. And there were these two good practices shared by our colleagues Anthony and Arm from Germany, and I put there the link because this link were also put in the chat. One was digital ride pooling platform, and then was a map of voluntary mobility office in Baden-Württemberg to different federal states. And then there was another case study from ZERI that was presented by Claudio, and this was anticipated by a sort of briefing presentation on DRT figures in terms of service scheme, types of vehicles, booking and scheduling, and so forth and so on. And then Claudio tried to summarize in a couple of slides what were the key feature of the case study of DRT in ZERI. The specific situation is still in the Garfagnana, Lunigiana, in northern part of Tuscany, with low population density, and how the DRT service has been designed and developed there with the key rule and with an emphasis of the key rule of the travel dispatch center. And I think from the slide that were presented was also kind of importance of the complexity behind this type of service. And then there was short time for discussion. One end there was the attention to try to not be at a small scale, but rather to, when implementing or demonstrating a new service, to try to have a look beyond and try to see what might be the future of DRT and how this service might increase the accessibility of the area. And also the experience of Bürgerbus again, where there is the relevance of the personal contact to really how rural areas have this peculiarity of people that talk with each other, and how this can, and so how the service is needed to be featured into the specific community. That was all from our workshop.